One of the reasons why it's so easy for us to take advantage of other people is because there's so many people out there who just want to remain dumb. They just want to remain dumb. They want to believe in a belief system, an ideology, a dogma, irrespective of what the facts might be. They have convinced themselves in such a profound way. These people are called true believers. You see them in religion, you see them in primitive tribes, and they have convinced themselves so profoundly. These people are like, they're like sheep, they're like lemmings flinging themselves off a cliff. Deep down inside, these are very, very disturbed and angry people. But there's millions of them. There's so many of them, okay? There's not a lot of, believe it or not, You'd think there'd be more, but there's not a lot of really thoughtful, rational, scientific-minded people. Most people are driven by emotion. It's human nature. I mean, even me to a certain degree, and I've learned over 40 years, at least insofar as trading is concerned, how to control my emotion. But there are times. There are times when I get off course, but then I self-correct. I know how to do that. I teach how to do that. But there's this vast universe of other market participants who have no interest in seeing the light, in seeing the reality. They are drawn to people, these charlatans, these idiots like Schiff. They are drawn to these people first out of their own internal hatred of themselves, lack of self-esteem. But here comes a guy, the Pied Piper, telling the story that they believe in, and they're just so fervent. They become fervent followers. Like, I found this guy. He's Jesus, right? I mean, that's what they think. And then the guy loses so much money for him. But to break from that creates such internal conflict. They'd rather stick with the false, ideas and continue losing money and placate themselves by saying he's just early. One day it's going to happen. Just wait and see. One day it's going to happen. That keeps them there. For those of you who have broken away from that sort of mentality, I was one of them too. I mean, I have old videos of myself. Many of you may not know this, but I spent about 20 years on television, and I was one of the first regular guest hosts of Squawk Box on CNBC. When they launched that show back in, I don't know, 95 or 96, I was one of their first regularly appearing guest hosts. I used to sit with Mark Haynes, and I used to say things like the United States is broke, and, we borrow money from the whole world, and China's not going to finance us, and the dollar's going to collapse, and blah, 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 blah. I had all that shit going on in my head, too. But I broke from that. It takes courage. I've said this in the past. It takes courage to break from that. It takes self-confidence to break from that. It takes a degree of self-esteem. You're still going to like yourself after you figure out that you were fucking wrong for so many years, okay? You're going to like yourself even more because you're going to get yourself on the right path. But most people cannot do that, all right? It's the fear of the unknown is much more paralyzing than the fear or the discomfort or the frustration they are feeling, the emotion, let's just call it the emotion they are feeling, the negative emotion from being in this relationship. It's like people who remain, it's like these couples, one of whom might be in an abusive relationship. They stay. People say, why do you stay? Because the fear of getting out, the fear of not having that other person there, as bad as that person is for their lives, they're more frightened of being on their own, of being in a place where they don't understand the violence, the battery, the abuse. They understand that. And they've, in their minds and in their bodies physically, they've created a way to deal with that. But getting out of it is scarier to them than staying in. So if you came over here, and if you've opened up, and if you're learning, pat yourself on the back. And you're starting to see how easy it. I keep repeating this, and I always say people learn through repetition. I'm going to keep repeating it. Plus, it makes me feel good to say it. It is so easy for us to beat these people, to take their money. It is so easy, and it's not just easy. It's a form of entertainment for us. It's comical. It's amusing when we see these guys like Schiff on TV saying, "Oh, we're gonna crash every single year, every single," and these idiot moronic networks like CNBC who parade these guys across. It's amusing. I used to get like upset watching it, but now I just think it's comical. It's amusing. It's like a form of entertainment. It's like going to a comedy show, and I love to laugh. I love to laugh. Okay, so that's what's going on here. It's easy for us. Very easy for us.